In this video, I am sharing the tiny travel essentials that are going to make your next trip 1,000 times less stressful. Oh, not this. This is just a snack. Now, in case you're new here, hi, I'm Christina from happytowander.com. And this is my packing channel that is devoted to tried and true packing tips and gear reviews. So be sure to like and subscribe if that sounds like your kind of thing. All right, now let's get started with these tiny travel essentials, and to show you just how small they are, everything I'm mentioning in this video fits in this one small pouch. So our first must pack is something that has saved me on more occasions than I can count. And that is this tiny USB-A adapter. Now, to understand why this tiny thing is so important, the majority of the electronics that you're using today rely on USB-C charging ports and cables that look like this. The trouble is, a lot of travel-centric places like hotels and airplanes have not yet caught up and continue to use USB-A charging ports that look like this. Which means if you just have a USB-C cable, it's not going to fit and you're not going to be able to charge your electronics. So to make sure all your bases are covered, just make sure you pack a tiny USB-A adapter that looks like this. That way you can just plug in your USB-C charging cable and you're good. You can easily buy these online in multi-packs. I personally have 3. I keep one in my wallet, I keep one in my headphones case, and one in my backpack. That's how important I think these things are. All right, next up is another travel essential that a lot of people don't think they need, but they would be wrong. And that is a wireless phone charger. So you can easily buy ones like these days that are super thin and are magnetic, so they hook onto your phone, just like that. And yes, there is a very important reason why you'll want one of these rather than just a standard power bank. And that's because these days, a lot of phones have built-in safeguards that don't allow you to actually charge through the charging port here if they detect any kind of moisture. So I've been in a lot of situations in the past few years where this has happened, that I've gotten this alert, like I've been in a spa, it got a bit wet, and then I was not able to charge my phone. And these days we are so reliant on our phones. Anytime we travel, our boarding passes are on here, all our important documents are on here. So you definitely want to make sure you're not put in a situation where your phone is dead and you can't charge it. So always make sure you have a wireless charger backup. And the bonus is that it's just a lot handier and you're not tethered to a cable when you need to charge on the go. So I think this is just a really great must-have. That said, if you are into traditional power banks, however, one that I can highly recommend is this Anker laptop charger. I know it's not the smallest, okay, but it is definitely the best portable charger I've ever used. I could show you the features of this all day. They have these tethered USB-C cables, which I think is really fun and really convenient. And the fact that it can charge not only my phone, but also my cameras and laptops is amazing. And this thing can last you all day and can charge a ton of electronics at once. So definitely recommend getting this one. I'll be linking everything in the description. All right, another neat gadget that takes up pretty much no space is something called an AirFly. And they do make generic versions of these as well, but AirFly is the main brand, I think the one that's become the most popular. So this is the one that I've got. And if you enjoy using wireless headphones on the plane, then this is definitely something that you need to buy. So basically you can plug it into the headphone jack of an airplane, and through some Bluetooth wizardry, I'm not really sure how it works, you can actually connect your headphones to this device and then use your wireless headphones to watch movies and TV shows on the plane, which is super convenient, especially on longer flights. And as someone who has personally lost a headphone cable because it fell off while I was taking a nap on the plane and someone kicked it into the bathroom, yeah, I definitely still have some trauma from that. So definitely get an AirFly. It's very convenient and yeah, super tiny. Now, another kind of weird one that I think is very useful to bring are S-shaped hooks. Many hotels these days just don't have enough hooks for hanging things, especially in the bathroom. So if you bring a few of these in your bag, again, they're so small, you can guarantee that you have somewhere to hang your stuff if you ever need to do laundry or if you have a hanging toiletries bag. I've also heard some people use these to hang their keys when they're traveling around. So I think that's a really neat idea. An S-hook like this in particular is really great because it can hang over doors as well. So I've heard some people actually use these in public bathrooms that don't have a hook for your bag. So if you want to avoid putting your bag on the gross bathroom floor, just hook this up and you have somewhere to hang your purse. So I think that's a really neat idea. Now, a really great tip shared by one of you, Marlene, thank you so much, is actually bringing suction cup hooks for the shower as well. So yeah, that's a great tip from Marlene. And if you have any other items that you personally pack, tiny items, please share in the comments. Because as I've said a million times, I love reading the comments and I love learning from you. I even have a special note where I screenshot all my favorite comments to share in the future. So yes, be sure to let me know what other tiny items you like to pack. Okay, now at this point, you're probably thinking, where are you going to store all these tiny items? And obviously I like to be organized, so I don't recommend you just keep all these little random items loose in your bag. Instead, what you need is a versatile arsenal of pouches and bags, like these two beauties from Tote, who are the generous sponsors of this week's video. I have been taking these two little bags on every trip I've been on for the past few months, and I am honestly obsessed with all the little organizational touches. So for organizing cables and other tech items, I've been using this electronic accessory pouch from Tote, which has two zippered compartments and separate organizational pockets in each one, which, as you can see, makes it super easy to just throw tiny items in and still keep them all organized. And miracle of miracles, the main compartment is actually big enough for you to toss in larger items that a lot of electronic pouches can't, like a universal adapter block and also a laptop charging block. There's also a wrist strap and a back strap that makes it really handy for just grabbing in and out of your day bag, which is crucial because on travel days, you're going to be constantly reaching for different cables and different little items like this. So I love that. Now, speaking of travel days, something that I can really recommend you bring is a slim crossbody bag like this one that can easily slip into your personal item bag for ease, because a lot of airlines are starting to enforce the one personal item policy. Now, I have to confess, I've never been a big fan of bringing a crossbody sling on a plane, just because a lot of the time I feel like they don't fit enough stuff without getting bulky. But I have to say, this one is magic. When I discovered I could fit my big noise canceling headphones in this, I was sold. What makes this an amazing companion on travel days is the fact that there's a ton of different pockets. So these easy slip ones in the back, I love putting my phone and my passport in there because you're constantly taking those in and out. And it's just roomy enough to have enough space for all your in-flight essentials, which means you can keep it all in one place and not have to root around in your backpack or purse constantly to try to find what you need. As a bonus, you can also use this as a little day bag so that you can keep your valuables really close to you when you're walking around, kind of like a money belt, but a little bit more practical. So yes, I will be leaving links to both of these in the description for you. But thanks again to Tote for sponsoring this week's video. Now let's move on to another crucial type of bag that you need to bring, and that is a Ziploc bag. These fold up to nothing and they can come in handy for so many different purposes. Not only for the obvious things like separating your liquids for toiletries, but they're so versatile for different purposes like quarantining your oil cleanser when it's getting everything in your bag super oily, speaking from personal experience. Or if you're making sandwiches for a hike and you realize there's no way for you to actually transport those sandwiches, having bags like this can come in so handy. And I know these aren't expensive, you can buy them when you're abroad, but it's almost impossible to find a place that's gonna sell you less than 20, 50, or 100, which, you know, you're never gonna need that many. So it makes sense to just bring 3 or 4. And yeah, trust me, you're gonna find a way to use these up. Now, keeping up with the bag theme, another important type of bag to have is a collapsible shopping bag. Yes, this is a Snoopy one and I'm obsessed with it. Now, I always say it's a good idea to bring a tote with you when you travel, just because you never know when you're gonna need one for shopping, especially if you like to go to the supermarket to get groceries or go to markets like I do. But I know that it's not always practical to bring a big tote bag with you. So in that case, make sure you always have one of these little collapsible totes, these shopping totes that fold up super small. And that way you're never without a bag. And like I said, this is a Snoopy one. As you can see, it goes from small to big and it's very, very durable. So yes, definitely worth bringing something like this with you. I promise it's going to come in super handy. Now you can watch me struggle to put it back. As I've said repeatedly on this channel, I do not thrive under pressure. There we go. Now, another small item that you can and should just pack in your bag for any trip are little band-aids and also blister protectors. Trust me, these are things that you don't think you'll need until you need them very, very badly. So always make sure you have them. As you can see, they're tiny, don't weigh anything. Now, if you have the space for it, I would recommend storing these alongside a few over-the-counter meds to put in an emergency kit. Some Advil, some cold medication, and perhaps most importantly, some Imodium, because you never know when you're gonna get a rumbly tummy and you're gonna need this to save your life. Speaking again from some haunting personal experiences. Another small essential that I don't feel like people talk about enough that's important to keep in an emergency kit are electrolyte packs. I honestly never used to travel with these, but I brought them with me to Peru because I was so afraid of altitude sickness, and I have to say I'm never going to travel without them ever again. So essentially, electrolytes help your body retain and distribute water more effectively, which means you can hydrate more efficiently and also need to use the bathroom less, which is something that I am so bad with because when I'm traveling, I hate having to look for a public bathroom. So as a result, I just don't drink water, which is not a good idea and really, really bad. So if you are like that as well, having some electrolyte packs are really good because you can just add a pouch of this into your water and then drink that. And it's gonna help you hydrate without needing to constantly go to the bathroom. There's a ton of options out there that are really expensive. I'm not gonna name names, but I personally don't think it makes sense to pay $10 per sachet. I just have these Mio ones. They were like $4 Canadian for 10 of these. I get the low sugar versions, but they are still really sweet. So I tend to actually only use a quarter of a packet per bottle of water. So these can go a long way. All right, another excellent item for the emergency kit, safety pins. All right, there's a ton of instances when a safety pin will come in handy. I know a lot of you will be like, oh, hotels have mending kits. I have never once in my life been in a situation when I've needed a safety pin and the hotel actually had one of those. So definitely keep one of these. They're tiny, keep them in your bag. You never know. On a similar note, money clips can actually be really good as well. Some people use them to keep curtains shut when they aren't able to sleep because light is coming in. And also, as I've mentioned before in my weird travel hacks video, they're really good for propping up your toothbrush so that they're not touching any gross bathroom counters. Now, the next tiny must pack is something that you have heard me mention many times before, and that is duct tape. I know this looks like a Sharpie, but I've actually just rolled the duct tape on it to show you that you don't actually need duct tape to take up a lot of space because you don't need to bring a giant roll of it. All you need is just a bit in case of an emergency for patching things up like bags, or maybe if your shoe splits, then you can use it to hold things together. Some other suggestions I've heard, this was a really great suggestion from Linda in the comments, was to take a loyalty card, cut it in half, and then wrap it around that. It's the perfect size for duct tape. In addition to duct tape, some of you say you also like to travel with painter's tape so that you can use it to cover up little lights that are affecting your sleep in hotels, or for labeling items or holding chip bags shut. Some of you, like Jan in the comments, have also said you use plumber's tape, so I think that's genius. Never thought to do that. In any case, definitely have some form of tape with you. I personally prefer duct tape because it's the most heavy duty and I like to consider it the worst case scenario. But what's cool about all these kinds of tape is they can also just be used as a lint roller as well. So yeah, definitely carry some with you. And you know what? Some of you are going to make fun of me for this, but another tiny item that I definitely recommend you travel with is a travel spork. So this is a camping one that's got a spoon on one side and a fork on the other, because I personally don't love just like a usual spork. And this double-sided tool is just perfect for my needs. And yeah, maybe I just eat too often, but there have been so many situations where I just realized I needed cutlery and I didn't have any. So sometimes takeout places will forget to give you your cutlery, or in a pinch, if you are starving and you make some instant noodles. You know what is such a drag? Having to use hotel room stir sticks as chopsticks. So yes, I've learned the hard way that it's always good to have a little camping fork, spork, whatever, just in case, because you never know when you're gonna need to eat. Now, moving on to some higher tech must-haves, something I like to make sure I have in every bag is an AirTag or a tracker of some kind. These little things offer endless peace of mind. So now these days I have one in every important bag, even in my wallet, my backpack, things like that. I'm personally an Apple user, so I use AirTags, but if you're looking for something that is compatible with all devices, I've had good luck with Chipolos as well. Now, another really fun gadget to have is a magnetic tripod, or just a phone case with a built-in tripod. So if you're somebody that likes to take photos, selfies, maybe record videos, having a tripod like this is so ideal because it is magnetic, it clips onto your phone, and then you can just prop it up for photos if you want to take any, or if you just want to FaceTime people hands-free, or if you want to watch videos on your phone hands-free. This is just such a versatile and super slim item that you can just slip into your pocket. So I really love this one. This is the foldable tripod from Moft. You can see my script right there. Yeah, pretty cool. Alternatively, you can look for a phone case like I've got that has a built-in tripod. So I bought this one recently. It's a magnetic ring. I really love it. So as you can see, you can kind of just like rotate it around and then use it to stand up your phone. The thing with this one compared to the Moft tripod is that it doesn't have as many angles that you can work with, but in a pinch, if you just need something for FaceTime or just like a quick selfie video or whatever, this is really, really good. And it's great for just propping up your phone again to watch movies on the plane. All right, please let me know in the comments what other small items you like to pack with you, and be sure to like and subscribe for more packing videos just like this one. I'll see you next time. Bye.